Another free EQ plugin, right? We've all seen the headlines. This free plugin destroys FabFilter and so on and so forth. But 90% of times, some of those videos appears to be clickbait. But Jeesonic EQ Pro? This one actually made me pause for a while, because here is what nobody is telling you about this plugin in some of the videos you've seen. This plugin has a feature that even FabFilter Pro Q doesn't handle the same way. And it is the difference between a demo that sounds impressive and a mix that actually translates. I'm talking about deterministic auto gain that folds in dynamic bands behavior. So when your dynamic EQ engages, your loudness doesn't jump. You hear tone, not volume, and that changes everything about how you judge your EQ moves. So today we are going deep, not a surface level feature tour, a real world breakdown of what this plugin does, what it doesn't do, and the specific workflows where it beats plugin that costs $200 plus. And finally, the one thing you should never do with it. So with that being said, let's get into it. Before we dive in, let's talk about where this fits. In 2026, the free EQ space is actually crowded with excellent options. As we all know, TDR Nova has been the king of free dynamic EQs for years. Then ZL-EQ2 came out recently and turned heads for its Pro Q-like workflow. So why does Jeesonic EQ Pro matter? Because it does something neither of those does. And it is not just having 24 bands. TDR Nova is a great dynamic EQ, but it is limited to 4 bands and 1 high pass and 1 low pass, making it 6 bands, and no mid-side per band. ZL-EQ2, it has a very beautiful interface. This one is a beast, up to 24 bands dynamic EQ with dynamic learning that auto sets your threshold and knee, external sidechain with its own filter, EQ match, collision detection, look ahead, 6 filter structures including 0 phase. It's honestly embarrassing how much this free plugin does, but it lacked the deterministic auto gain in Jeesonic EQ. Now, talking about Jeesonic EQ Pro, it has 24 bands, full per band dynamics, mid-side per band, external sidechain, and deterministic auto gain. That's the gap. That isn't just another free EQ. It is the first free plugin that combines surgical precision, dynamic processing, and advanced stereo routing in one interface. But here's the catch. Most reviews just show you the interface and play a guitar through it or something. They don't show you the workflow that make this thing powerful. So guys, that's what we are doing today. Now, let's look at the interface. And I want to start with something most reviews skip. The curve. Jeesonic says the drawn curve and the processed audio share the exact same filter maths. What does that actually mean? It means when you draw a bell curve at, let's say, 3 kHz with plus 4 dB gain and a Q of 2.0, the audio processing uses those exact same coefficients. There is no approximation, no visual sugar that doesn't match the sound. This matters because some plugins, even expensive ones, smooth the visual curve for aesthetic purposes, while the actual processing is slightly different. But here, what you see is what you get. Let's talk about the filter types. You've got bell, low and high shelf, low and high cuts, notch, and tilt. The cuts go from 6 to 96 dB per octave. But here is what changed in version 0.1.1, and that is actually important. The notch filter is now a true band stop. Before, it was a broad dip. Now it is a narrow dip null exactly at the same frequency, and the Q now matches the drawn curve 1-to-1. So if you're using this for a notch filtering out resonances, say a harsh 2.5 kHz ring in vocal, this is now surgical.
Life not turn by turn, I know. 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 Life not turn by turn, I know.
This is another thing reviews miss. When you boost with a bell filter, the cut mirrors it exactly. So a 6 dB boost at Q 2.0 will look and sound identical to a -6 dB cut at the same Q. So this consistency makes it easier to learn the plugin's behavior. You don't have to mentally adjust for different Q characteristics between boosts and cuts. Alright, now let's talk about the dynamic EQ feature. I have a vocal here with excessive sibilance, so we'll be using it for the demonstration so that I can show you how well this plugin controls it. So let's take a listen. Take me back to take me. You can clearly hear the excessive S in that first word, take. So let's try to make this band dynamic, and to do that you simply come over to this section here, as you can see, and click it, and automatically it is now made a dynamic band. Now here is where it is very interesting. Take it down to engage the threshold. If you pull it up, you are actually expanding. If you pull it down, you are compressing. So let's see that in action. Take me back to the place where we first met. Take me back to the place where we first met. Take me. Now you can clearly see that the compression comes in immediately the set frequency hits the threshold, which is that excessive S's. Alright, now let's pull it up for expansion. Take me back to the place where we first met. Take me back. And you can clearly hear the difference. Now it is boosting that particular frequency so loud, right? And that is not what we want now. So you can also see it is a plus for this particular free plugin. Gives you ability to expand and compress, and it is per band. I mean, every single band has that ability. I mean, this is interesting. But here is the advanced part. Every dynamic band is a full compressor, threshold, ratio up to brick wall, knee, attack, release. You can set an external sidechain per each band as well. Here you can have band 3 listening to the kick drum while band 7 listens to the vocal. That is multi-band docking territory. Let's check it out. Take me back to the place where we first met. Take me back to the place where we first met. Take me back to the place where we first met. Take me back to the place where we first met. So guys, you saw that enabling the sidechain feature and listening to the external signal was able to independently listen to the kick source, the snare source, and the S's coming from the vocal. And the snare was expanded, the volume was increased a little bit because it was very low. The kick was loud, so was tamed a little. Then the S's was as well tamed. But please have in mind, I was able to achieve this by some technical routing setup I did inside FL Studio. Not like the plugin has it like at default. No, I had to do some routing to achieve this. Now, the idea is this. For a free plugin with such useful features, I mean, it's a plus. It's a big plus. Alright, this is the section that is going to change how you think about this plugin, because every review mentions auto gain, but nobody explains why this one is different. Most EQ plugins with auto gain use a separate loudness dictator. They analyze the signal before and after EQ, calculate the difference, and apply a static gain offset. It works for static EQ, but when you add dynamic bands, the auto gain changes in real time and a static offset can't track that. Jeesonic auto gain is deterministic. It folds in what the dynamic bands are doing mathematically. It knows the threshold ratio and expected gain reduction of each dynamic band, and it compensates in real time. So when your dynamic band engages and cuts, let's say plus 3 dB at 200 kHz, the auto gain adds 3 dB back instantly, not after a detector catches up. It's calculated already.
Take me back to the place where we first met. Take me back to the place where we first met. Take me back to the place where we first met. Take me back to the place where we first met. Take me back to the place where we first met. Take me back to the place.
This means you can bypass the plugin and actually hear a fair A/B comparison. You are judging tone, not loudness. And loudness is the number one thing that tricks your ears into thinking something sounds better when it just sounds louder. This is another useful feature. It scales the entire EQ curve in real time. So if you spend 20 minutes crafting the perfect curve and your client says, "Can we try half as much?" You don't have to redraw 12 bands. You just drag gain scaling to 50% depending on how much your client wants. Or you can also use it creatively. Automate gain scaling from 0 to 100% over a bar for a filter sweep effect that preserves all your band relationships. I mean, that's a pro workflow most people don't know exists. So maybe you should try it and see what you get.
Take me back to the place where we first met.
Per band stereo routing. This is where things get surgical. Let's say your mix has a modulo mid build up around 250 Hz in the center, and we all know that's common with bass and kick overlapping. But the sides at 250 Hz might have nice guitar body. With most EQ, you would cut 250 across the whole stereo field, and that will really affect your mix. Here, you can set band 1 to mid, cut 250 Hz dynamically. Band 2 can be set to side, and then you leave it alone or even boost it slightly. And for left and right processing, this is even more granular, if I may say. If your left guitar has a resonance at 3K that the right guitar signal doesn't, you can notch just the left channel and no need for dual mono instances. Now let's talk about the phase modes. It has 3 options: 0, latency, natural, and linear. 0 latency, it is good for tracking live performance, no delay, minimal phase shift. For natural, good for mixing. You get slight phase shift but more natural transient response than linear. Now, the linear mode, which is best for mastering, it has 0 phase shift but pre-ringing and high latency. But there is a critical limitation here. Dynamic EQ is not available in linear phase mode. This is important for mastering engineers. If you need linear phase and dynamic processing, you will need a different tool, and Jeesonic tells you this upfront, but most reviews don't mention it. And you can see this plugin doesn't utilize much of the CPU. So you can see all the bands are enabled.
Take me back to the place where we first.
Some are made dynamics at the highest oversampling rates, 4x, and you can see CPU is still around 10, which is pretty nice.
Take me back to the place where we first met. Take me back.
Alright guys, that is it for Jeesonic EQ Pro review. But before I call it a wrap, here is my final verdict. Is Jeesonic EQ Pro a FabFilter killer? My honest answer, no. And it is not trying to be. FabFilter has features this plugin doesn't. Features like EQ match, instant linking, dynamic EQ in linear phase, and a decade of refinement. But here is what this is. This plugin is the most capable free dynamic EQ on the market in 2026. Beats TDR Nova in band count and routing flexibility. And it does things that some $100 plus plugins don't, like per band external sidechain and Deterministic auto gain. So who should download this plugin? Anyone who needs dynamic EQ but can't afford ProQ. Producers who want mid-side processing without paying for premium plugins. Engineers who want clean, transparent surgical EQ with no analog coloration. Then who should skip this plugin? Mastering engineers who need dynamic EQ in linear phase. Users who want analog saturation and character EQ. Anyone who needs deep plugin ecosystem integration. So that brings us to the end of today's video. Remember, it is free, no account needed, no email, just download and use it. And the developer is actively updating it, currently on version 0.1.1, which came out like 5-6 days ago after the initial release with CPU fixes and notch improvements. And that tells me this isn't abandonware, if you know what I mean. I'll be leaving the link in the description. Try it, share your honest thoughts in the comments below. And if you're coming across my channel for the very first time, you're welcome to CoinxDaProducer. Subscribe, share this video to your friends. Most importantly, turn on your bell notification for more contents like this. If you want to check out free tools that I've covered on this channel, the video on the screen right now is a playlist. Go there. Who knows, you might find something super interesting you need at the moment. And I'll see you there. As always, stay creative, stay focused, and bye for now.